comedian Boyle, and I'm quitting alcohol. So this is a little bit of Boyle Breaks history. I've been thinking recently, like over the last couple of months, about how people will fight in a war for a country that treats them like garbage. So I've been reading about the Russian soldiers. I also looked at the Buffalo soldiers in the US. I'm like, how and why did they fucking fight for the fucking US? The Buffalo soldiers were a completely black Negro regiment of the US Army back, I don't know, 1900s sometime, who pretty much fought the Indians. So black versus Indian, slaves versus potential slaves. And I was looking at Russia. I've been looking at Russia. Like Russia in World War II, Russia had been through like hell. They got fucking smashed in World War One. Then they had the fucking revolution. Then straight after the revolution, there was a civil war that wiped out millions of people. There was like a famine that wiped out like 2 million or 3 million, something like that. Then there was Stalin's purges, the Great Purge, and there were the gulags and just general kidnappings and murders by the government. And then the Germans strolled in and it didn't matter. They fought. They obviously fought for their country, but that's a little bit different because that was a invasion by the Nazis. Anyway, in my rumblings around, my diggings, I found this fucking one particular thing that I found very fascinating in American history. It was called the bonus marches. And it sort of catalyzed a few things I'd been thinking. I'm like, yeah, the state just uses you and then disposes you. They don't give a fuck. They sell you this idea that you're a hero and that you're valuable to the nation, and then as soon as it's over, you're rubbish. Anyway, the bonus marches. After World War One, US soldiers came back from the war and they were pretty disgruntled because they went over to Europe and fought, and they were actually getting paid less than just staying at home and having a job back home. And so there was a little bit of animosity going around amongst the veterans who fought in World War One. And the US government gave them this bonus. And it was structured in a way, well, I don't know exactly because I can't remember off the top of my head, but it was basically you got $1 or $1.25 every day you were in the war and whatever else it was. It was a fairly good deal, but the conditions of this bonus were you got paid interest on it. You didn't receive the bonus, but you got paid interest on it. And in 1945, you could collect the bonus. So like 21 years from there. So that was passed in 1924. The government were like, okay, thank you for your service to the country. We're going to give you a little bit of money, but you're not getting it now. You can get it in 1945, but we're going to pay you interest on the money we give you. Anyway, the Great Depression happens in 1929. In 1932, the unemployment rate is like 25%, and a lot of these old World War I veterans are destitute, hungry, unemployed, and they've been kicked to the fucking curb. And a lot of the veterans were like, hey, you know how we're meant to get this bonus in 1945, and who knows if we're going to be alive or not because we're starving to death right now. Can we get our bonus now? Because we need it, because no one's got jobs and we're starving. And the government were like, no, you can't. You can get it in 1945. The government's broke. This is Herbert Hoover. So in early 1932, this guy named Walter W. Waters organized a group of vets, World War I vets, and they marched into Washington, D.C. to try and fucking persuade the government to pay out these bonuses. Anyway, the government said no, and these guys, these veterans, set up camp in Washington, D.C., and over a period of time, word got around and more vets turned up into Washington until there was about 15 to 20,000 World War I veterans camped out in Washington, D.C., demanding their bonus pay. Apparently, they were there for like 2 months. They were peaceful. Everything was well organized. They were soldiers, old soldiers, so they knew how to fucking rough it. But as the weeks went past, the government got more and more concerned about, let's say, the optics of 15 to 20,000 old World War I veterans camping in Washington, D.C., and they were like, these guys are radicals. And then there began to be clashes with the police. In one of the clashes, the police shot and killed 2 of these vets. Then, the government claimed that there was like communists in there, like the same old shit, the same shit that happens now was happening then. It was probably Black Lives Matters or something. Antifa was there. The Proud Boys. It was all of them. All of them were on the bonus mark. It wasn't just 15,000 vets who were pissed off that they couldn't eat anymore after serving their country in World War I. It wasn't that. It was a big conspiracy. Anyway, on July fucking 28, 1932, Herbert Hoover ordered the U.S. Army to clear out the vets. So he unleashed the army on the veterans and listen to the names that were involved in this. So Herbert Hoover sent General Douglas MacArthur, who was assisted by Major Dwight D. Eisenhower and Major George S. Patton, led the operation against the veterans, and the army went in there, infantry, cavalry, they sent tanks in there to evict the veterans and kick them the fuck out of Washington. And they did. 600 U.S. Army troops evicted by force at the barrel of a gun 15 to 20,000 World War I veterans out of Washington. Thank you very much for serving your country. It's fucking brutal. When I was reading it, I was like, what the fuck? Major Patton, General Patton did it. MacArthur, Eisenhower. It made me realize, I'm always like, surely, like in Western countries, the army's not going to turn on the people, are they? They're there to protect the citizens. I know it happens in other countries, in dictatorships and all that sort of shit, but surely not in a Western country. But I would not bank on that. If the army is turned on the people, they shoot. So yeah, there's a little bit of fucking history for you. The bonus marches in the US. Had never heard of them until about 3 days ago. I wonder why they were buried deep in the archives. Anyway, fucking that'll do it for tonight. And I'll see ya the fuck later.